As you all probably or hopefully know, this past summer, our parish introduced a new vision statement to all of us. It came from our pastoral council and lots of discussion. It was about a year-long, well, almost a year-long process of kind of getting us to a point where we thought of this new vision statement would captivate and capture our hearts. And in that vision statement, as you know, it says that we seek to become the brightest beacon of hope in our counties. That our two parishes, St. Gabriel and St. Bridget, seeks to become the brightest beacon of hope in our counties. And since that announcement, our parish has invested an immense amount of time and money in trying to see how and what that is going to mean, and where is kind of the Spirit leading us as parishioners in becoming the brightest beacons of hope for our county. And in reflecting on that this past week, just wondering what are the ingredients to becoming a beacon of hope, let alone the brightest beacon of hope. What does it take to become the brightest beacon of hope? And I think there are many ingredients, so to speak, that we need. But one of them that I want to focus in on today is that of sacrifice. Without sacrifice, there can be no hope. There can be no authentic Christian hope. And sacrifice, in turn, can breed and in truth bears the fruit of authentic Christian hope. And I'll give you an example of that. So a couple weeks before Lent began, many of our classes in the school began discussing what each of those classes was going to do as a class for a Lenten practice. And about a week and a half into Lent, I came to find out from another school parent that the 6th grade had chosen, out of all the ideas, they chose the vast, not all of them, but the vast majority of the 6th graders chose to give up recess for Lent. Let me repeat that. 6th graders freely chose to give up their recess for Lent. And in place of recess, they asked if they could help out in the school, whether it be just kind of chores around the school or helping teachers, or in some cases, many of them have had the opportunity of actually hanging out with kids in the lower grade and helping them, tutoring them, or just being kind of a mentor during this Lenten season to them. That's a sacrifice. And I want to dive a little bit into that sacrifice. Take yourselves back to when you were in 6th grade. Think about how important recess was to you then. And I think if you asked many of the 6th graders today what's your favorite subject, many of them might say recess. That's their favorite time in the school day. Because as a 6th grader, you have a long day at school. And first, recess is that thing that in the middle of the day breaks it up, gets you out of kind of just a really, hopefully, intense and focused day, that you can go outside, you can go to the gym, you can hang out, you can yell, you can run, you don't have to raise your hand to talk. You can relax a little bit. That's a sacrifice, and a heck of a sacrifice. I've heard of some Lenten penances that just blow my mind. That one blows my mind, that our 6th grade decided to do that. And in hearing that story, and I want you to, not one 6th grader told me of this. They didn't go around telling anyone about what they decided to do for Lent. This was a parent that told me. But in hearing that, we should have hope. That's the byproduct of sacrifice. That in hearing what our 6th graders are doing right now for Lent, that should fill us with hope. That what we are doing, what we preach, what we love, what we give a witness to in our daily life as adults is taking hold in the lives of our young people. And in some ways, they're blowing us out of the water. That should give us hope. Their sacrifice should bear hope in our parish. And there can be no hope, at least not authentic Christian hope, without sacrifice. And to become the brightest beacon of hope for our counties is going to require even more sacrifice on our part, more sacrifice of our time. And this weekend, we've invited everyone these past couple weekends to bring with you your pamphlet that you should have received in the mail. Beacon of Hope is what it is titled, because it's more than just a sacrifice of time that is going to make us the brightest beacons of hope. It is also a sacrifice of our finances. And this weekend is our Stewardship Pledge weekend, where we, each of us, hopefully taken some time over these last couple of weeks since receiving that and prayed about what sacrifices can we make financially for our Lord, for the mission and the vision of the Catholic Church in Union County and Fayette County, Indiana. And guys, without sacrifice, there can be no hope. And what is the kind of sacrifice that our Lord demands of us financially? In truth, guys, it's 10% of our gross income. 10% of our income before taxes. First fruits. You know, right now it's tax season, and I hope everyone's made the time to get their taxes filed, but you also know, many of you know what your income was last year. To begin to plan 10% of that this year. And I know not everyone is going to be able to do that. Many might not be able to do it, but can that be a goal? Can that kind of sacrifice be a goal for us? Maybe not next year, maybe not the year after, maybe not even in the next 5 years. To become the brightest beacon of hope, if that is what we want, if that is really what we are going to answer our Lord's call to, is going to require tremendous sacrifice. And 10% is a tremendous sacrifice. And that's also not to say, guys, that you have to give all 10% or everything that you set aside to give to our Lord next year just for the parish. Personally, I take about 5% and I give to the parish and then divide up the other 5% over other charities and causes that I want to give toward. You can divide it up however you wish, practically speaking. But to be a bright beacon of hope, the brightest beacon of hope, our parish, we must sacrifice. And why do we sacrifice? And it's simply because of what we remember from this time until Easter Sunday. Our Lord's sacrifice. He didn't give 2%. He didn't give 10%. He laid down his life so that we might have life in abundance. And we do. And he asks us to give back, to respond. And our sacrifice is our response to his life, death, and what we will glory in at Easter, his resurrection. And I know that many of you already do sacrifice money and time in your prayers for your parishes. And I thank you for that. On behalf of everyone here, on behalf of our school, on behalf of every ministry that we run out of here, thank you. On behalf of every future ministry that we will run, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. But I also wish to speak to those who maybe have not bought in, who maybe sacrificed time but have not yet given a sacrifice of money. I invite you to consider pledging and making a sacrifice this year to the mission and the vision of your parish, a vision that you are invited into. And we cannot do and become the brightest beacon of hope without every single person sacrificing, myself included. So if you have not done yet, or if you have not yet completed the intention card, I invite you to do that. You can either drop it in the collection basket today. It also comes with an envelope that you can mail into the parish. But guys, if you haven't yet done it, take some time to pray about it. Especially if you're a parishioner that has not ever tithed or sacrificed financially to the parish. Take some time this week to pray about it. What can you sacrifice? What can we sacrifice to contribute to that great vision of becoming the brightest beacon of hope in our counties?